G'day YouTube. I think a lot of you have been asking about this video, and I finally got some fresh seeds I harvested the other day. So I'm finally going to do the video on sowing Nepenthes seeds. As with all my advice, this is just what works for me. There may be better ways for other people. It's just about finding what works for you. So I'll run you through everything I do, show you how to sow the seeds, what I use, all the steps I do for preparation, and yeah, hopefully you pick up some good tips for it. Excuse the mess on the table. So this is what Nepenthes seeds look like. I'll just grab a pen to point. Now they're super small, super light. As you can see, I made the mistake of breathing before and I blew seeds all over the towel that I'm using to protect the table, all over my lap. So I've been carefully tweezing out the good ones. Now, if you see here, these ones here are what I'd call really good seeds. Good, you can see the embryo there, very well developed, good size to them, uniform shape and everything. Separated these here are okay. They might germinate. If that's all I had in the seed pod, I would definitely sow them and hope for the best. But if you crack open a seed pod and it looks like this, unfortunately you're probably going to be out of luck. I can see one there on the left that seems to have an embryo, but the rest of them are pretty much rubbish. Now this is 2 seed pods worth. This is Lolii cross Veitchii cross Veitchii M, which I used using a couple of my favourite plants in the greenhouse. So I'm very excited about this cross. Exotica Plants has been posting one of their favourites recently. It's an absolute stunner. If I can get anything close to that, I'll be happy. As you can see, I've got all my pots prepared. I might actually fold up the seeds for a second. And of course this is tricky to do with one hand. I'm just going to put them there so I don't blow them away again whilst I talk about everything. I'll zoom you out. So the mix I'm using is 50% cocoa peat and 50% perlite. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I rinse all my cocoa peat really well. I'll soak it for about 2 weeks. Because we're lucky here, and the tap water here in Sydney is actually very good. I use tap water for the first few soaks, but I do use reverse osmosis water for the final soak, just to get anything out of it. And I think by the end I had parts per million after a 24-hour soak was about 43. So there's almost nothing left soaking out of it. Got all the salts out, being coconut, ground coconut husks. Basically, can be a lot of salts. So you can see there, I've got heaps of perlite in there, lots of drainage, and unlike normal peat moss, the coconut husk doesn't go as boggy, so it'll retain a lot more air. And you can see the difference. All I've done is put a top dressing of pure coconut core on top. That just allows a better contact from the seeds. And I do try and level everything off as best as I can. You know, you can go along. You could probably get a little tool and flatten it out a bit nicer, but I just use my hands. I have seen a few people make the mistake of not filling their pots up. They might fill it up to here, sow the seeds, which is good because they won't blow away on you. But the issue is once they've germinated, once they're starting up, you've got no airflow to the top of the pot where the plants are. And I've seen that turn into fungal issues for them, lose a lot of seedlings. It's not what you want. So personally, I fill right up to the top, all my pods. And I've been a bit lazy with sowing seeds and just had them in a tray in my greenhouse. So I haven't had as good success as I used to get. So that's why now I've put it in a tray. I've gone through and I've even sterilised the pots with methylated spirits. I just gave them a good soaking in it, let it sit for a while, wiped them down, just to kill any fungus or algae that was on the pots. They are new pots, but they're sitting in the in a big tub I have down the side of the house, and basically left the lid off. Sorry, I'm just trying to get one of these domes free, and the tub filled up with a couple of centimeters of water, so there was a bit of algae in there. So what I'm trying to prevent is algae and moss and stuff like that growing on the media. So what I'll do, once I've sown the seeds, everything's sterilized in there. Well, maybe not sterile to compared to tissue culture, but as close as I'm going to get it. I'll put it in this dome. I won't actually have water in the water tray, but I'll just mist the tops of the seeds, and I'll have this dome to keep the humidity at 100%. Means I don't need to keep the media soaking wet. And yeah, once they've germinated, maybe a few months in, maybe 2 months, I'll remove the lid. Depends how long they take. But the Nepenthes seeds are tricky. They will, they can take a long time to germinate. Usually by about 6 months, I'm starting to give up hope. And if I may not get rid, if it's a very exciting hybrid or species, I won't get rid of the seeds. I'll just move them aside out of the way when I need the space. But I haven't had much luck after the 6 month mark. Though I did have Clipiata seeds. They took 9 months before I saw any germination on them, and then from there the germination was fantastic. So don't always give up hope too quickly. What I might do, I might get this all set back up. Well, I'll spin you around. There we go. I'm trying to use the tripod so I can have both hands free here. I found putting the emptying the seed pods into a piece of paper like this just makes it easy. If I don't have very many good seeds, I will sit there and actually tweeze out all the good ones, and only sow that, so I don't bother with the crappy ones. In this case, there's plenty of good seeds. Oh, sorry, just breathed on them again. There's plenty of good seeds, so I'll just sow them all. Obviously, the small dead ones won't germinate for me, I don't think, but there's enough there that I'm expecting this to be a great batch of seeds, and it's a very exciting hybrid, so I can't wait to see what this looks like in a couple of years. So all you do, once you got your media prepared, you're pretty nice and flat. So I think I microwaved, also I think I forgot to mention, I microwaved the coconut core for a few minutes. I got it up to 97 degrees Celsius, which I think is around the temperature that sterilizes the media. That'll kill any insect eggs, any moss spores or weed seeds that are stashed around the media. And again, that's just to stop other things popping up in the pot, fungus gnats, weeds, mosses that can outcompete the seedlings. If you've been following me on Instagram and Facebook, I did post a photo recently of some other seedlings, and the moss was just completely overtaken. You couldn't even see most of the seedlings in the pot. So I'm trying my hardest this time to keep it as clean as possible, sealed, away from any moss spores, which I have a problem with in my greenhouse, which is mostly because there is quite a bit of moss and algae around. I've recently deep cleaned the whole greenhouse, so hopefully that helps that issue. As you see, I'm just sort of trying to spread the seeds out pretty evenly along the top. Now this is quite a few seeds, and I do expect this pot to be a bit overrun with seedlings. by the time they start germinating. And I will just go along and just spread them out. There's trying to watch what I'm doing and pay attention that it's all showing on camera. It's not the best spread. You can also just crack the seed pods over the top of the media and squeeze it out. I may end up putting another seed pod on here to just fill in those sides. Don't want to waste any space. That'll do for the moment. Just got reverse osmosis water here in the sprayer, and I tend to start the sprayer from quite high up to not blow the seeds away. And once I get down, this just gives good, make sure the seeds have good contact to the media, and keeps everything moist. I'll come along and I'll mist these seeds once every few days or so, once they're in the greenhouse. If you don't have a greenhouse, I'd probably suggest still using one of these domes, but get yourself a good grow, or it doesn't have to be a good grow light, even a cheap one. Until I get around to upgrading, these are just going to go under a cheap shop light in my seedling shells in the greenhouse. And the final step I do is just 3% hydrogen peroxide, and just give them a little mist with that. Sorry, I'm starting to run out. And that can just kill any fungal spores or anything like that that might be on the seed coatings themselves. As I said, I want to keep everything as sterile as I can, as clean as I can. And once I finish that, dome will go back on. I'll fill this up. These trays are great. They take 8 of my 85ml pots, which is why I stepped down from 100ml. So I can get all 8 of these Lolii Veitchii hybrids into this one tray. I'll put them in the greenhouse, and apart from checking on them occasionally or opening up to mist it, I'll keep the lid closed for the next 2 months. And hopefully from there I'll have a good pile of little seedlings popping up, and then I'll probably start doing another video. I've got some other seeds I did sow earlier this year still, yep. So I might actually bring them in and show you what you can expect after, I think they've been down for about 6 months or so. And further down the line, I'll do a video on repotting. I was trying to keep a pot of seedlings for that to do in the same video, but they just got too big. Some of the seedlings were 100ml across, and the pots were completely overcrowded, so I had to divide them up. So that'll be another video coming soon. I'll cut it here, and I'll grab... Actually, I might just take you out to the greenhouse and show you the seedlings, and you can see what to expect. Alright, we're back at the greenhouse now. You can see the fogger going. A nice warm sunny day here in Sydney. And I'll show you a couple of seedlings, and I think the dates are still on them, so you'll be able to see when they're sown and how big you might expect. So here we go. We've got some Spathulata crosslavicola seeds me and a mate made. These were sown back in February. They've been a little bit slow, but you can see the moss start to encroach on top. It's not as much of an issue once they're this size. They seem to handle it pretty well, but I'd probably still go after the video and I'll try and pick some of this surface moss away. Here's some Veitchii seeds that went down in January. So these are getting pretty close to when I'd actually start repotting them and dividing them up. Because they are a bit sparse, there wasn't a ton of seeds, or at least I didn't get huge germination. They're not too overcrowded yet. Some of the pots I've had, you can't see any media, it's just leaves and seedlings, which is what you want. But I brought this out. This is a Ventricosa Red Cross Maxima Dark, so I guess it's going to be almost like a Red Leopard 2.0, but that's the sort of size I generally wait for to repot. So another leaf or two on these, they'll be there. This is another Lolii Veitchii hybrid with Maxima Dark. These were only sown in May, so as you can see, compared to the others, these are really moving along. There's a couple that have been uprooted. I actually had to repot these recently because of the moss. You can see it's already starting there again, but hopefully before it gets out of control, I will be repotting them into individual pots. Unfortunately, even though these are in a dome, a lizard has been decided it wants to climb into the dome and get a drink or stay warm or something. I've caught him in there a few times, and he is knocking seedlings around, so I'm just going to reposition the roots on these. So I decided to try putting these in some stratum. Can't say it's amazing or terrible yet. I do think they're having a bit of trouble really setting their roots in it, particularly if you have a lizard that likes to lie on them. But so far I haven't lost too many, which is nice. And yeah, this is a Truncata cross Slavicola, Truncata G Slavicola. These went down in February as well, so you can see the different growth rates. And I only repotted these recently, but that's pushing so good size. That's the size I'd probably be selling if they weren't so fresh in the pots. I like to give them a few months to recover, but this will give you a little hint on what's to come next year. I think that's everything I can think of for this video. As always, if you've got any more questions, ask me in the comment section or hit me up on Instagram. I'm always happy to answer them if I can. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos, and let me know what you want to see or know more of. Thanks again.